And I gotta let Ms. White in. As soon as we have an audio connection, we'll get rolling. Okay, this is a matter of,
Okay.
well, where is it? It's White versus White. But what did I do with the file? I don't see it. Well, that doesn't mean I can't move forward. I didn't give it to you by mistake, did I,
just
Peter?
checked. No, I didn't see it. I can.
So this is a motion to terminate the PPO. Mr. Morley, I'm assuming this is your motion on behalf of Mr. White?
It is, Your Honor. Just so you have it, it's case number 20-2235.
Yeah, it's on the docket, and I just didn't notice until just now that I don't have the file. But I think I can go forward without it. Is this an ex parte PPO that was issued?
It is, Your Honor. I can walk you through it briefly. You yourself issued this on, it was submitted October 26th. You signed it October 27th at 11:30. I can, without being biased to my side, Ms. White presented a 1.5-page statement in support. The first was an October 10th of 20 alleged domestic at the party's residence. The second is an undated argument with an allegation of a headbutting, and then really just a couple more sentences of general allegations. At the bottom, Ms. White says, I'm asking for a PPO because I fear for the safety of me and my children. I'm filing for divorce and fear when he finds that out that he will try to harm me or the children. And candidly, Your Honor, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's my position that this is being filed for purposes of an advantage in the divorce.
Okay, I'm going to try to pull up the file. It should have been scanned into our digital records. So give me just a moment. I've got to open one more program before I can get at that. I would like to have it in front of me before we go forward. Ms. White, because this was issued ex parte, we proceed today as if there is no PPO. You have to testify and convince me that indeed there is a need for a PPO to be in place. So in just a moment, as soon as I have the records up, I'm going to put you under oath and give you an opportunity to testify and convince me that a PPO is necessary. Once you finish testifying, I will give Mr. Morley the opportunity to cross-examine you. Okay, I'm almost there. Okay, so I now have that in front of me. And I guess I should ask, Ms. White, you still wish for a PPO to remain in place?
Yes.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your full name.
Bethany Faith White.
You can put your hand down. You are married to Justin White?
Yes.
And do the two of you have children together?
Yes, we have 4 children.
What are their names and ages?
Zane is the oldest, he's 9. And then there's Kyle, he's 7. Actually, he turned 8 today, I'm sorry. And then Kelda is 5, and Everest is 3.
And until this PPO was issued, you and Mr. White resided together in the same household?
Yes.
What's the address of that home?
112 McConnell Drive.
And is that a home that you own or that you rent?
We rent.
And how long have you lived there?
I think it's just 2 years.
Is this a home or an apartment?
It's a home.
All right, I'd like you to tell me what it is that Mr. White said or did that causes you to be in fear and requires that the court continue a personal protection order.
Okay. I just have it's about a one and a half page letter here that I wrote down that I'm going to read. Justin has displayed verbally, emotionally, and physically abusive behavior throughout our entire marriage, and it has only worsened over time and is now also aimed at the children as well. Justin has on several occasions threatened to kill himself with a gun to his head in front of me and the children. He has headbutted me, resulting in a bloody, swollen lip, shoved and pushed me onto the floor, into a corner, or onto a bed. That's kind of a scenario that's happened in a lot of different ways and a lot of different times. He often tells me how his demonic entities will harm me, burn me, follow me, or always know where I am at. He's predicted my death from a vision several times, saying a semi-truck would hit and kill me on that following day. He has jumped at me, causing me to cower down to the floor, while he laughed at me and said I should be afraid. One incident involved Justin giving me and the children marijuana edibles that we thought were just normal candy. CPS got involved in that situation. He has continued to pursue a belief system that involves occult and witchcraft objects and behaviors that he talks about influencing the world with. He has threatened to start doing black magic on me several times and curse me. He often refers to himself in third person or with different labels and names such as I am, Jesus Christ, Zenuru, a God of light, or Savior of the world. He often says he is not really a part of this world and can leave anytime he wants. He talks about the higher realm meetings he goes to where he is high up in the ranks. A few months ago, he was driving the children, and when they got home, they all came running to me crying, telling me that he'd been yelling at them in the car, saying if they didn't start obeying him and follow his teachings, he would leave them and never see them again. This has been a reoccurring threat that he will leave our family if we don't start obeying him by not going to church, not praying, not reading our Bibles, or believing in God. He also threatens the children to not allow them to see grandparents or friends that are from church. He continues to display a lack of rational behavior when it comes to dealing with conflict or difference of opinions, and our disagreements often turn into escalated arguments where Justin will force himself on us as long as we are in a disagreement with him and will push us as long as he has to in order to get the outcome he wants. This includes all forms of manipulative, abusive wording and behavior, and also at times physical. Throughout several different altercations, Justin would provoke me over and over to hit him, slap him, or punch him. Like he would say, hit me, slap me, punch me. And when I would refuse to do it, he would physically take my hands and start punching, hitting, or slapping himself. This would result in me trying to curl my body into the fetal position and fall to the floor so he couldn't force me to do that. The children are often witness to these situations and jump in to intervene, putting themselves in the line of fire. When our children have been upset, he tries to force them to do things they don't want to do, like spend large amounts of time doing inner work or meditations, getting them to be one with themselves and their inner power or light, he says. When they plead to be left alone because they don't want to do these things, he will not relent, resulting in them being pushed to a much more distressed level of emotions. The same thing results often when I try to leave an argument for the sake of everyone and to calm down. He will not allow me to do so, no matter how long I ask or plead, which often turns into the physical altercations, me trying to get away and him physically not allowing me. He has broken in doors that I have locked in order to get away. He threatens to call the police on me or take the children away from me. At those times where I feel our safety is threatened and I try to leave with the children, he has taken the keys away from me, smashed my phone when I tried to call the police, and will not allow us to leave. At times, when he has cornered me and I pushed at him to get away, he has thrown himself across the floor, saying I physically abused him, pointing it out to the kids, trying to manipulate them to turn against me. When I am gone, the kids will tell me that Justin speaks disparagingly about me, trying to turn them against me. He tells them everything is my fault and I am the reason for all the problems, and if I would just obey and submit, everything would be fine. All of these things are a constant source of emotional damage, much more so for small children that don't understand on much greater levels. These worsening toxic conditions in our home and the declining state of Justin's mental instability lead me to fear a much more serious end or outcome if we were to remain in the home with him. I believe if these circumstances occurred where I was not able to intervene for the children, the outcome could be much more tragic. I have given every effort to make things work, but Justin continues to show no evidence or effort to be able to recognize or admit any of the concerning behaviors displayed by him. He has always denied all of these incidents and claims I am the crazy one. Every incident and daily experiencing of this abuse has hurt and damaged me and our young children on many levels, and I believe it is crucial for it to not be able to continue. And then I have just 6 exhibits I want to show of some text messages from him that are just an example of some of the manipulation tactics that he has used. This one talks about him coming to.
I got these yesterday. They're undated and they don't seem to make any sense. I don't understand. So we gotta establish some kind of foundation.
So Ms. White, the text message that you just held up to the screen, who's speaking in that text message?
This was a conversation from about a year ago. It's dated in my phone as November 4th. It was Justin had called me. We were on our way to church and he was upset that we were going to church. And he called me and that was when he was threatening to start doing black magic on me. And then these were just.
So when you say we were on our way to church, you mean you and the children?
Yes. And he was upset.
All right. So November 4th of a year ago.
Yeah.
All right, hold it back up again so I have a chance to read it.
So this was one of the ones that he talked about coming to church and making a big scene if I didn't bring the kids back because he didn't want us going to church.
Okay.
And then this is another one. They were just kind of.
All right. Before you show it to me, I want you to tell me when was this?
So these were all the same conversation from that November 4th date.
Oh, okay. So what you're about to show me are texts that he sent to you.
Yes, they were all from him. And he
okay,
just
you can hold it up now.
Okay. he just sent like a big long string of a bunch of different texts that were just kind of manipulative type of wording.
Okay, and hold it up just a little higher so I can see what's at the bottom. Oh, it just says new message.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, and the next one is continuing the same conversation.
Yeah. This one is more an example of how he talks about just some of the, like how he's not a part of this world.
All right, right at the very top, I'm assuming that's your message.
Yes.
What were you responding to with that?
I'm not sure what exact one. It might have been this one right here, where he, sorry, it's a little, I think it was this one where he said he was staking ground to his own soul and was calling himself I am.
To be clear, Your Honor, though, the please stop texting me is Mr. White's statement.
And I would say to that, that's part of the manipulation that comes in. At the time, I was barely texting him back, and anything I had texted was not provoking, and it was loving.
All right, go back to the one that you were showing me earlier.
Which one that was? Was it this one? I'm not sure.
Let me see the top.
No,
that wasn't it. It was one that had your statement at the top
Right
that
here.
I had asked you about. Okay,
Right here.
let me read.
It had something to do with God, and I was saying how God doesn't take the choice from him, it's his choice. He might have, yeah, I'm not sure. Basically, like, God gives us free will, and so, yeah.
So he talks in that message about standing in line. What's the context of that? Standing in what line?
A lot of times when he kind of goes on in these rants, they don't make a ton of sense. Like when he talks about staking his ground to his own soul, a lot of times in our arguments, he'll say, I cut myself off from you right now, and I have nothing to do with you spiritually or physically. And he'll say that he's, he'll stake ground to his own soul. And I'm not really sure what it means exactly, but it's kind of part of his whole belief system of where he thinks he's from these higher realms. This is the last one where he talks about him going from a preacher to a demon. He was a pastor for 5 years at a church. So this was just the last one that was it's just examples of where his mental state of mind is when we get into these arguments. And
these are all from November a year ago?
Yeah. They're just the only ones I happened to screenshot because they were a little bit of more of a nature of him threatening to.
So on any of the occasions when he's been physically violent towards you, have the police ever been called?
No. Like I said, the few times that I have tried to call the police, that was the time that he took my phone and smashed it.
You said something earlier about CPS being involved. When was that?
That was November 2018.
And how did CPS get involved?
They were called a few days after it happened, and opened a case for that.
After what happened?
After he'd given bites of a marijuana edible to me and the children, and I didn't.
see.
Yeah, we didn't know it was marijuana.
How did CPS find out about that?
They were called.
Do you know who called them?
I did.
Did they take any action?
Yeah, we left the home. They asked us to leave the home, so we stayed with
You-
his family.
You and the children left the home?
Yes, they asked us to stay with family, so we stayed with his parents for about 2 months.
Did CPS, I mean, what you just described sounds like what they typically call a safety plan. Do you remember them using that term?
Yes,
And at some point they lifted the safety plan?
yes.
Do you know how that came about?
That happened because they had not made it clear to me that I needed to go get the kids tested. I got tested, and I don't even know what those results were. I mean, I'm assuming they were positive because I had taken the most. But the kids never got tested in time for it to still be in their systems to prove that they had actually taken the edibles.
Okay. Were you tested?
Yes.
And did you test positive?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming I did. I got tested, I think, maybe 4 days after, but I should have had enough in my system for it to still have been positive. So I'm not really sure about that.
Well, regardless of whether you were tested or what the test results were, what makes you believe that there were marijuana derivatives in the whatever it was that you ate?
A few hours after I ate it, I started feeling really weird, and like I've never felt that way, and I didn't know what was happening, and I got really scared, and I called Justin up, and that's when he told me that there was marijuana in them, and he didn't think it would have, I know he didn't think it would affect me that bad, but and right when I started to feel that way, the two boys that he'd given the bites to, they started laughing a ton, like really hard. They were just laughing and they couldn't stop laughing. And I was kind of starting to think, like, why are they laughing so much? And then after the fact, when we talked about it, when I talked to the kids, they had told me that they felt like they were moving really slow and they said they couldn't stop laughing. They said they felt like they were moving really slow. And every time they like walked or stepped, they, it just felt like everything was in slow motion.
All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me today?
Not that I can think of. There's been just many situations that are kind of what I explained, but there's just so many. I couldn't even try to place dates on all of them, just because they're quite common. So I just tried to. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure Mr. Morley will have some questions for you. I'm going to give him that opportunity now.
I don't think I have any questions, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. White, do you have any other witnesses besides yourself?
There have been a few witnesses, but they're mostly in his family, and I think for their sake, for their relationship, they're probably hoping not to have to testify against him. But I do have some witnesses that, like, his dad has been called on a few occasions. His dad has come over. When I got headbutted, he came over that time. And then the night that we left, October 10th, his brother-in-law and sister, or his wife, came and picked us up because he wouldn't let us leave. And so I called them and asked them to come get us. So they were kind of witness to that situation and some of the outlandish things Justin had been saying.
But you don't have anyone else lined up to testify this morning is really what I
No,
was
I'm
asking.
sorry. No, I didn't.
Okay. Mr. Morley, do you have a presentation?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll call Mr. White.
Mr. White, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Please state your full name.
Justin White, Justin Michael White.
Go ahead, Mr. Morley.
Mr. White, will you address this marijuana?
Can I stop you for just a minute? I was just checking, she still hasn't logged in, Jan.
Well, Your Honor, I'm out of the state next week, and I would like to continue to wait. She told me she would log in.
I'm not telling you you can't, I'm just letting you know.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I've had an attorney waiting here a long time this morning for opposing counsel to show up, and she still hasn't shown. I wanted to let her know that. So go ahead, Mr. Morley. Pardon the interruption.
Mr. White, as a preliminary to address these marijuana allegations, did you give your children marijuana in any form?
No, sir.
Can you explain rationale for this allegation?
I was told during that time that it was a random person called, and Bethany said that she did not make the call, and that they had said that there was a possibility that my kids had been drugged, and so they came and did an investigation and did all that and went through all that. It was pretty traumatizing for all of us, but obviously everything got acquitted. There was nothing that was given the kids. They got tested immediately. They went to their school the next day and picked them up and tested them. DHS met with us for many months. The kids were out of our home during Christmas. And of course, just like every situation, I have fully worked with them and tried to do anything I possibly can. So
when you say they, CPS got
Yes.
involved right away, right?
Absolutely.
Was anything substantiated?
No,
Or
there
did
was
they
nothing.
ultimately close their
They
case?
they ultimately closed their case. They
And you
apologized
said that
a lot.
CPS went to the children's school the next day and tested them?
Yeah, they tested.
Were there
Yeah.
ever, now Ms. White has testified she doesn't have any positive results. Were there ever any positive results? from
No,
your
there was
children?
there was no positive results.
Was law enforcement ever involved?
Yes, they were there. They didn't come to the home or anything like that, but they did do an investigation, and I got pulled into the police department, got questioned in a cold room, and they yelled at me multiple times and went back and forth and had different people come in, and I had to do questioning multiple times to
Were
try
charges ever filed?
No charges were ever filed. Nothing happened.
Has Ms. White created allegations against you in the past?
Multiple times.
Can you elaborate, please?
There has been multiple times where she has, like this situation, said that I have been in danger of hurting the children or hurting her, and I have never hurt my children. I've never caused them physical harm, and I have never hurt Bethany. And that time where she says about the headbutting was she was coming through a door and there was blankets on the floor, and she slipped and she was coming at me. And if there has been any physical abuse, it has been on Bethany's part in hitting me and many times, multiple times, not many. There's been at least 3 times where I've been in my office meditating and praying and in peace, and she's coming upset and she's actually hit me because I won't talk or I won't respond. And I've gone through classes on how to deal with people that are angry, and I am done a really, really awesome job dealing with when she gets angry and upset. And the night that she took the kids and left, anytime that there's a situation that escalates, I brought the kids back in the room, was trying to get a movie on, was trying to talk to her about the church situation. And as soon as she tried to get everyone riled up and leaving for the house, I got the keys and I called her pastor immediately and put him on speakerphone to try to have him come over and de-escalate the situation.
Let me interrupt for a
Yes,
minute.
sir.
Her pastor is your dad,
Yes,
right?
yes,
And you were a pastor, right?
yes, sir.
And there are, I mean no disrespect by this, but your marriage is devolving, right?
Yes, sir.
And I apologize for that. I'm not being disrespectful. There are also fundamental religious differences between the two of you, right?
That's what's going on. Yes, sir.
And you said that Miss White took your kids. This isn't the first time she's taken the kids, is it?
No, when I first started preaching different than what the Baptist faith is in a line, or what they believe that I should have preached at the church, then she did take the kids. She got other preachers together. They approved her decision to take the kids out of the home. My father actually came and packed them up. I was in the shower. I was dripping naked in the living room. Packed up all my kids' stuff. This has happened 3 or 4 times that I have said, should I just call the police because you guys can't come in and just take these kids away from their father that loves them and supports them and has never done anything to ever put anyone in any threat. And they did pack them up. They left. That's happened. That time it happened a couple other times, and it happened with the marijuana thing. They made up that story too. So it's been a continual thing to try to get me to come back to the faith, and I understand it, but yeah, I have a perfectly clear conscience. So this has happened multiple times, and it's been growing each time.
Let me break this down a little bit. There were a number of other tangential things that were not presented in support of the petition for PPO, but there's an October 20, check that, an October 10th of 20 allegation that you yelled at Miss White and you hurt your son. Did that happen?
I did raise my voice in that evening that she was leaving, and because she was screaming and getting everyone packed up, and I had the kids back in the room trying to calm the situation down. And my son did go to the door and said, "Don't talk to mom when she's mad. Just leave her alone. Just don't talk to her because she can get she can get emotionally charged and so he closed the door and so when I went to open the door, she was yelling and coming through the other side, and he was there closing the door. As I went to open the door, he did trip over my feet. My hand was on his hand, and because it was kind of commotion right there, and the situation was intense right there, I was trying to calm it down, and it wasn't that intense. It was just she was trying to tell the kids to get their stuff together. They were getting their stuff together, and it was late at night on a Saturday. And I just come from my dad's house and talked about how I would like one Sunday to take one kid, every Sunday, if I could just have one child not go to church and stay with their father and have one day with their father a week. I go to work and I come home and clean and support this family every single day. If I could just have one day, even though I believe differently, if I could have one day with one child, every Sunday I sit home and that's the conversation. I came from the pastor's house, brought the kids home, wanted to sit down and talk to Beth about that, and obviously she said they will go to church forever and they will not stay home from church, and that's when they started packing everything up. And then so Zane did close the door. It wasn't that intense or anything. And so when I opened the door, he fell down on the ground and he started crying, and then Beth obviously came up. Then I called my dad immediately. My dad was on speakerphone the whole time because when she got upset, I want to make sure that there's a third party because this keep happening. And I knew she was going to leave with the kids. It was late Saturday, and we do need to deal with this, and this needs to be dealt with. And so I was asking my dad to come over.
Did the police get called on this October 10th?
No, there was no reason for there wasn't no police
But
call.
your dad was on speakerphone
Yes.
throughout
The whole time.
about this alleged, not sure of the date, headbutting incident.
That's when she just came through the door, slid, and hit me in the face, and we both kind of fell down on the bed. But there's been no time where I've ever hit her or abused her or holded her down or anything like that. I've never ever hurt even a man, much less a child or a woman or an animal. And don't let my kids, or I don't spank my children. Bethany spanks our children on a regular basis. She actually hits the kids on a regular basis many times and has hit me, and I have not hit the kids. I don't spank the kids, and I don't want anything to do with any of that at all. So no.
Let me ask you a question. You've seen this where at the bottom of the petition, Ms. White says, quote, "I'm filing for divorce in fear when he finds out that he will try to harm me or the children," close quote. You are aware that she is likely filing for divorce, right?
Yes.
And you have, respectfully, you have your arms around that? By that, I mean you haven't decided to do anything rash or go after Miss White or anything like
No,
that?
they were at the house, at my brother's house, which is 2 blocks away, for 2 weeks after she left that Saturday night. My brother promised that he would bring him home the next morning. And my dad was on speakerphone, he's his pastor. My brother who picked him up is a youth pastor. And he said, since things are intense, they're already loaded up in the vehicle, just let us take them home. We just had a party at our house, we'll bring them back tomorrow morning. And I said, you know what, you're right. Anything I can do to keep things at peace and stuff, that's what you guys want to do. I should call the cops right now because it's the 3rd time you guys have taken the kids away for nothing is going on. I just want to talk about having them one Sunday for church. And you guys got to flip out and take them away.
Okay,
So
well, my specific question here is, this PPO was requested because you're afraid, or Miss White is alleging that you're gonna do something nutty when you find out about
she was
divorce.
at their house for
No,
2 weeks.
Hear my question. Hear my question.
Yes, sir.
She states, "I fear that when he finds out that she's filing for divorce," well, you have found out, right?
Absolutely.
Is that, you done anything stupid?
I've only dropped off flowers and cards at the house within these past couple weeks. I've not gone into the house that they've been staying at, my brother's house. I welcome them there, but I didn't want to cause any drama. I want them to cool down and do whatever they need to do to try to make things peaceful. And I've only dropped off flowers and cards at both her parents' house where they've been staying at and at my brother's house, and never gone in either house and given them their space, and only supported and dropped off money and gifts. And I've blown up balloons in the house, and I bought new beds, and I painted the house, and I've done everything to just support this whole time, paid all the bills, and just waiting for things to cool down on their end. But they, you know, I guess that they're deciding to go a different route. And so, yeah, I've known where they've been at for the past 3 weeks, and I've done nothing but support and love. And I've done nothing but for 12 years but support and love. And I could have gone over to my brother's house and thrown a ruckus. I never called him the whole time since he's taken my kids. I never called and got upset at him. I never called, and I totally forgive him. And I understand that everyone is trying to do the best that they can with this situation.
I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. I've heard enough testimony. I'm satisfied that a basis exists for this PPO to be in place. I find Ms. White to be wholly credible. Her testimony was supported by the text messages she showed me. I believe that she legitimately fears Mr. White, and he's given her good reason to do that. I'm going to deny the motion. We're going to continue the PPO in place. Thank you.
And I don't know that you have the authority on this. A divorce proceeding hasn't been filed. To the extent that there can be custody, can a third party work between them? In other words, I don't want it to be considered third party contact at the behest of Mr. White, but if it's his brother or somebody like that to try and work towards parenting time, is that acceptable to the court?
I don't have a problem with Mr. White communicating through someone that Ms. White is willing to communicate through. Is there someone like that, Ms. White? Hold on.
Sorry. Yes, I'm sure I could find someone in his family that would be willing to do that.
I wouldn't consider that to be a violation of the PPO. Obviously, it can't be harassing communication, but simply to communicate about details involving the children, I wouldn't consider that to be a violation of the PPO.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. That concludes our hearing.
Thank you, Judge. Enjoy your day.
Likewise. Ms. Payne's here. Thank you, Shannon.
You're welcome.
Okay, Stinson versus Stinson. Council, state your appearances.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Janet Hamilton on behalf of the plaintiff, Christy Stinson. Good morning, Jennifer.
Oh, you know what? I got
Good
party.
morning.
I've got Ms. Stinson. Let me get her in. I forgot about her. Okay. Let's wait till we have an audio connection. Okay, so we're here for settlement of an order. Is that correct?
Two things, actually, Your Honor. Settlement of the order setting forth your ruling at the October 15th hearing, which resolved a complaint about Mr. Stinson thinking erroneously that the alternate weekend parenting time schedule was opposite of what the judgment dictated. You did resolve that. Now, in the interim, we received a packet of parenting time complaints. Yes.
I have that.
Great. So Ms. Payne and I agreed that because I'm out of state next Thursday when that show cause was scheduled, that we would advance the hearing on that show cause motion to today. So I think that mine was filed first, and I think that if we settle the terms of the order, the show cause should go away. I'm not sure that it will, but I'm hopeful.
Well, let's get the order settled first of all.
Sure.
Ms. Ms. Payne, rather, you've seen this proposed order?
I have. I also want the court to be
yeah.
aware I've not been able to contact Mr. Stinson. I did reach out to him several times, and I don't know that, it doesn't sound like he's logged into the Zoom.
I don't see
Okay.
him. So let's talk about the order first of all. Do you have any objection to the content of the order?
No, it matches the court's ruling.
Then I will sign it. That takes care of that issue.
What order was that, Your Honor?
Order after 10, 15, 20 hearing.
Thank you.
And if Mr. Stinson isn't present, it's very hard for me to be able to consider his parenting time complaints.
Right.
So,
Your Honor, what I would ask on that is because they were set for the 19th, I would just ask that those be adjourned until after the holiday because Mr. Stinson did those in pro per. I expect he's going to be representing himself going forward as well. I haven't seen all of the complaints. I haven't spoken to him about them. And so I don't want them to be dismissed because he's not here. I'd rather that this be set over to a day after Ms. Hamilton comes back and he can handle that on his own if he so chooses.
When
He doesn't know
when
that
you-
they're happening today.
All right, when would you,
I'll be here, I'll be back, God willing, absent hurricanes, the Thursday. Well, following weekend is Thanksgiving, so it would have to be the first Thursday in December. And is that the 4th by any chance,
I
or the 3rd?
let me see. December
It's December
4th is a
3rd.
Friday, December 3rd is a Thursday. I'm more likely going to set them for that following week. I don't want them in the morning. I typically hear parenting time show causes in the afternoon of Thursdays. I'll have Dawn send out notices, but more likely than not, it'll be Thursday the 10th.
Okay, we need your help with one other thing, Your Honor, if you don't mind. At the October 15th hearing, you also ruled that an LGAL should be appointed for the minor child. And this order does implement that. It's been a whole month that we've lost. I anticipate, because I mentioned a few names at that hearing, and Ms. Payne said she would get back with me within a week, and I haven't heard from her during the last month regarding an LGAL. I'm anticipating there may be some difficulty in selecting a person. What I'd like to propose is, at that hearing, I suggested Shelley Dungan and Ms. McCluskey. When I didn't hear from Ms. Payne, I assumed she couldn't immediately agree to either one of those. I've done some more digging and I've made some calls to see if others would be willing. And I have 3 people that I think are universally loved by folks and probably well known to the court. And I'd just like the court to pick one because this file just doesn't seem to have a harmonious flow that would let us corroborate. Those people are Ken Hotchkiss, Rebecca McCluskey, and Ryan Phillips. I contacted or had my assistant contact each of them without providing details about the case to simply ask if they would act and if they would comply with your order about the details of the report, its submission before the continuation of evidentiary hearing, and each have indicated in the affirmative. So if you could just pick from those 3, I would be greatly indebted to the court. Thank you.
And Ms. Payne, did you do any investigation? I realize you probably don't know these people or don't know them as well as Ms. Hamilton.
I do know them. I do know them. I don't know them as well. I would ask the court to appoint someone that the court thinks is appropriate. Because what's happening is. Yeah.
Let's use
Sorry,
Mr.
go ahead,
Hotchkiss. Mr. Hotchkiss,
Okay.
if he's willing, let's use him.
Can we add that to the October 15th order so that we don't have to be back again on entry of another order?
Do you mind if I substitute Kenneth Hotchkiss shall be appointed as LGL for the minor child?
That's fine.
All right, I've added that to the order.
May I take the order down for entry and copies to circulate?
Yes, you may. In fact, I'll give you the file. Let me send a quick note. Actually, I'm just going to give you the order. I'll hold on to the file. You may approach.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Have a good day, Ms. Payne and Ms. Stinson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Let's see what I've got waiting here.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Okay, good morning, Ms. Terranova. And it looks like we've got Mr. Van Dam present with you, and Angie Rogers is present via Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay, let me find this file.
And defendant's there too?
Pardon?
Defendant is there too?
Yeah, he's with Ms. Terranova.
Oh, I meant plaintiff is there too.
Yes, Angie Rogers is plaintiff.
Okay, got it.
Okay, let me see. I've got a note from referee Murphy. All right, apparently they appeared briefly in front of her, but the matter was At least the parties understood it was going to be on my docket. It's here. So we have Ms. Rogers' motion regarding parenting time. And ma'am, what you're asking is that you have the children from when they get out of school until their father gets home. Is that correct?
Actually, it's changed now. Sam, our oldest, that goes to Lumen Christi, will not be in school till December 1st. They closed down. And the kids' school has been closed for this week. And I just spoke to the principal, and she doesn't know if they'll be going back to school until, she doesn't know when. So this is all up in the air now of if they're even going to be going back to school.
And so your motion is when they do return to live instruction, you would like to have them between the time that they're done with school and Mr. Van Dam gets home.
Yep, and if he, like I said, if, I don't know how to explain it without like sounding like, on the days that they don't have school, as long as they're not with their dad, I would like them instead of them having to be watched by their grandma or somebody else. I got you. My schedule. I want it to go, well, this is, I just need to throw this out there. That was our original agreement prior, like when the divorce was final, that I had the kids during the time that their dad, because he's gone 11 hours a day. And I wanted those kids, and that we all had an agreement that I was to take those kids while he was at work or did whatever, and I always had them. And then when I went to work, then his mom would meet me until from 3:45 till 7 till he got home. I want to just go back to the original agreement. That's all I want. He took it from me. I want it back. My daughter's failing school. It's a lot of things that are going on that especially one daughter, my middle, Layla, needs help. She goes to a resource room every day. I just need to make sure she's getting the care that she needs. We have structure, discipline, and consistency throughout every day for her. She needs this. All three of them need it, but my middle child needs it the most. And I need to go back to that.
If I understand correctly, what you're telling me is at some point there was a custody order in place that allowed you to watch the children whenever Mr. Van Dam was working?
I had them consistently like that for almost 3 years. And then I got behind. I'm sorry, what's that?
At some point that got changed and you want it changed back.
Yeah, it wasn't court changed. It was just he changed his mind. And I needed 2 weeks. There was a medical bill that he didn't pay, and I got behind on my bills by about $1,200, and I didn't pay my rent, and I had to get it. I needed 2 weeks to do it. And then after that, he was just having babysitters every day that summer. And it was the summer that, I had met my husband. So I don't want to play games with my kids. This is what needs to happen. And I should have done this earlier, but we had a couple summers ago, some really bad instances happened where two of my daughters, both of them were hurt in a rollover go-kart incident. And at their dad's house. And I just, like I said, I just need to go back. I didn't take them to court, and I should have done this a long time ago.
So I want to make sure I understand. What you're telling me is it was never in a court order, but that's what the two of you did.
Yep.
Is he let you watch the children while he was working?
Yep. And from my understanding, that was yes, that was exactly what we have been doing for years.
And then at some point that changed, again by agreement of the parties, or just?
No, not.
For a short amount of time.
I needed 2 weeks to get caught back up on my bills because there was a U of M medical bill he was supposed to pay that didn't pay. He didn't pay, and it took him 6 months to pay me back. I had fallen behind on my rent. So that was all I needed was 2 weeks.
Ms. Rogers, so during that 2 week period, when you needed to work instead of watching the children, you didn't follow this agreement. And then after that 2 weeks was over, he said he didn't want to do it anymore?
Correct.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Ms. Terranova?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to clarify, no, it was never a court-ordered agreement ever that there was a first right of refusal. What I will say about these parties, Your Honor, is they have joint legal and joint physical custody, and they have equal parenting time currently. And they do a rotation, Your Honor. They do not do week on, week off. They do a, few days here, a few days there, and switch like that. So it's not a straight week on, week off. The parties traditionally have been able to work together, make accommodations where they need be. For example, Your Honor, Ms. Rogers won't take the kids to and from school. So my client or his mother do it. I mean, it looks like she disagrees, but that's what happens, Your Honor. These people have a schedule that varies day to day, Your Honor, and that's how it's always worked. I'm not sure in her motion what she's asking for. It would appear that she says after school, which would be, in my mind, Tuesdays and Fridays during the week. Those would be because it says after school. I mean, that's what her motion says, but I'm not even clear what she wants. So if it were Tuesdays, if it were Fridays, it doesn't make sense. Fridays after school, they can still go with grandma, and then my client can pick them up, pick them up right after. His mother lives a few doors down from him. That's what the parties have been exercising, Your Honor. The problem is they will have a schedule, they'll have something worked out, and then Ms. Rogers says, no, I don't like this anymore. You can do this. My client is extremely involved with his children. He's extremely involved with the education of them, Your Honor. And we get these motions that make it sound like he's not doing what he needs to do as a parent. I mean, honestly, it sounds like Ms. Van Dam doesn't work at all. If she has all this time, I'm not sure when she does work, if she wants the kids 100% of the time. And I'm not sure who's on Zoom, but this is a court hearing.
I'm her husband, and last time you had no problem bringing my name into this, so I'd like to sit and be a part of this also.
Hold on, sir. I didn't give you permission to speak.
It's okay.
You need to be quiet.
Sorry. Okay.
She addressed me.
I would like to clarify something right now.
I'm still speaking. I'm still in my argument. So this is my problem, Your Honor, is that I am so unclear as to what days she wants, what days she doesn't want. Like I said, my client, does transportation technically on quote unquote her days.
Let me interrupt, Ms. Terranova, let me interrupt. I agree it's unclear from her written motion. What she said today that she'd like to see is that when Mr. Van Dam is working, she'd like to have the children, I'm assuming on days that she's not working. On days that she's working, she obviously wouldn't be able to have the children. But when she's not working, and he is, and when the kids are doing online schooling, she'd like them to help with their schooling. And once live school resumes, she'd like to have them from after school until Mr. Van Dam gets home. That's what you're looking for, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that's what she's asking for. Is that something that Mr. Van Dam is willing to consider?
Your Honor, it depends on what days. For example, let's go to when they're on online school. For example, he doesn't work on Wednesdays, so he certainly can do the online school. I don't know if her request is only if it's not my client for online. I mean, I would have to talk to him about that since that request was made 5 minutes ago.
I think she's saying it's just when he's not available.
Yes.
That she'd like to be able to do that. So if he doesn't work on Wednesdays, she's not asking for Wednesdays. She's only asking for when they have either online schooling and he's not there and she's not working. I realize that this is the kind of thing parents work out.
And they have been, Your Honor. Like this week, they did work it out where she had them on certain days. My client was going to take some time off. That is my point, Your Honor, is that they are two parents that, for the most part, do work out some of these little details, and then all of a sudden something, of course, erupts, and that's why we're before the court. If we want people to be flexible, but then you start getting court orders for certain conditions and then people become unflexible on both sides, Your Honor. For example, what if I guess when I was saying about her work, she doesn't work Monday through Friday? So what if she's busy on her day on online school? Where did the kids go?
I agree, that's a problem. Ms. Rogers, what is your work schedule?
My work schedule, one job I work from home, the other I serve 2 days a week, which is flexible. I can work at night, I can work during the day. I've been working during the day because the kids are at school, during the day. And then my husband watches our baby. And that's just how it's been. And my work right now, I don't even know when it's gonna shut down again, because we were shut down from March until I could go back in July. So my manager, the owner, if I need to be at home with those kids to do the learning, that's what I'm doing. I'm flexible with that. Where Sam has to take off a whole day of work and miss his entire day. And my whole thing with this is they need help. And it's up in the air every day. What are we gonna do? Is it fair to make his mom keep watching these kids? In Layla's grades, she's getting D's and E's, and I have papers right here showing it. This is so important, and I'm not trying to take them away from their dad. I'm just stating, if they're gonna be these are our kids, his and mine, not grandma's, not Matt's, not anybody else's. When they are not with him, they should be with their mom. If I'm willing and if I am able to do whatever it takes to make sure that these kids are getting what they need. I made a vow when I had these kids, these are our kids. These are not anybody else's. But like I said, I need to bring their grades back up. I need consistency. They need help. My job is not gonna, those 2 shifts, do I love working? Yes, but are my kids more important? Absolutely. His job, he has to be there. I have other people that can fill my spots. I am willing to take my kids. I just want it to go back to the way it used to be.
You understand that if he's counting on you watching the children on any given day when he's working, and you at the last minute say, I can't do it because I got to work today, that poses problems for him.
Yep, and Your Honor, that would not happen. I already know that. My job, like I said, we're only, and this week, he's already relied on us. And I told him it can stay this way. We had them from March, from shutdown, all the way till school started back up, with them being with us that whole time that he was at work for 11 hours a day. And before they had 2 babysitters, they had to have a babysitter.
Hold on. Let me stop you. Let me stop you. If this has been working out, what prompted you to file the motion?
Because he doesn't want us to have them next week. He's told the kids, not me, that his grandma will be watching the kids because she's going to be working from home. That's not and he won't communicate with me. It's with my kid.
For just 1 week? Is that all we're talking about?
I don't know.
We have no idea what's going on. I filed this before all that. I just want the kids with me instead of grandma. They're not doing their homework. If you look on her report card right here, everything that Layla's got bad grades on is her homework. She's not getting her homework done, and that she is with her grandma from 3:45 till 7 o'clock on iPads, everything else. She's not doing her homework. The kids are not getting their homework done, Your Honor, till 7 o'clock at night.
Your Honor,
let me stop you. So, Ms. Terranova and her client are just finding out now what it is you're looking for. I'd like to give them an opportunity to respond to that.
Okay.
Your Honor, as far as not getting homework done, they're with the parents 50-50. So how is it that there's no teacher that has come in and said, oh, this only happens on Sam's time or only happens on Miss Rogers' time?
And you don't know that either.
My problem here is that
Please
it's
don't interrupt.
So as far as that goes, my client disagrees that the children aren't getting what they need to get done, Your Honor. My client is helping with that. As far as the online school, they went online this week. The 2 parents had a discussion about what they were going to do on the days that he worked. My client said, I can take these days off. And Ms. Rogers said, no, that's okay. I will handle them. So they were able to get through this, Your Honor. We start putting orders in place that demand that, she gets first right of refusal every time my client does work or does something I'm just saying that doesn't work, Your Honor.
Why doesn't that?
How does that not
That
work, Ms.
doesn't
Terranova?
work. And
I would give him the same respect. How does that not? Is it only a one-way street on that then?
it's not a, Your Honor, I'm not gonna respond to her. It's not a one-way street,
All right.
Your Honor. What it does is
I-
it opens up the door for example, my clients picked up the kids when she has gone to work before because the kids couldn't get up, and then Matt's babysitting them. So is that technically the stepfather's babysitting them and she should drove them to my client's house? I'm not saying that in theory it's a bad idea for the parents to try to do that. I do think they try to do that to the best of their ability, Your Honor. But for example, on the online school, I don't even know how long that's going to continue. But if the
Nobody
court
knows.
thinks, okay, they need to be with a parent, fine. That's okay. But now let's say my client takes off time and doesn't work. They're in the middle of a child support review, Your Honor. So if he's making less income, like everybody right now, and takes less time, is that going to be held against him? Does Miss Rogers want additional money because she's quote unquote asking to have the children additional time, and then she's doing this? I'm just trying to explain, Your Honor. It sounds simple, but with this family, it unravels a whole big mess about where the children are going to be when. And quite frankly, I think the parents have been able to do it quite well on their own without a court order. Exactly. She filed a motion months later.
Because
When my-
he plays the game, Terranova. You don't understand. He is fighting me for time he doesn't have with these kids. These kids deserve a parent, two parents, because that's what our agreement was when we were married. And you and I know that as well. That is why I've always taken those kids. I've had 3 separate jobs to accommodate my children.
Bless you.
I have been working so hard just to
All
make
right.
sure that they can get there. And you brought up, he picks them up for school. He is obligated to every decision as far as school, like he is to make the payments. He has fought me for the school. He pulled those kids out last year. You filed that motion to have them pulled out another school, Ms. Terranova. And that's when I was done volunteering. I was doing everything. And for the past 5 years, I'm sorry I'm going off on this, I have done nothing but volunteer and do everything else, Terranova. I went above and beyond for my children. And this is
I've
insane.
heard enough. I'm denying the motion. I'm encouraging the parties to try to work this out. Thank you. That concludes our hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Holy shnikes. Okay, let's see, what do we got left? England, looks like Pennell versus Simpson. I've got some other people in here. I'm just gonna let them all in and find out what they're
I
doing
think
here.
one got adjourned.
I knew that, but they're not here. I got some other names in here. Okay, as soon as everybody comes into focus here. So we've got Smith versus Ream. Mr. Ryan Ream is present. I don't see Michelle Smith. Good morning, Mr. Ream.
Good morning.
Were you expected? Sorry, I had to mute someone because we were getting feedback.
I thought it was
I don't think it was you. All right, so. Oh, it's Michelle Hedrick. All right, so that must be her that we're waiting on for, it says David Hedrick. And we're waiting on an audio connection. Sir, do you happen to know her phone number?
Yes, sir, I do.
I could try calling that. For whatever reason, she must have a poor connection because we're not able to get an audio. If I can get her on by phone, we can do it that way. What's the number?
Give me 1 second. It's 517-581-4763.
Let me see if we can get through. Oh, it almost looked like it connected and then it switched back. All right, let's give it a shot. Oh, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can. All right.
Okay.
So Mr. Ream and Ms. Hedrick are both present, Shannon. Let me read the summary from the referee. So, Mr. Ream, you are seeking sole physical and legal custody and for mom to have every other weekend parenting time. And ma'am, it looks like maybe at one time you were in agreement with that, but now you are opposed to it. Is that correct?
Sir, we have actually come to an agreement since our referee hearing. We have come to an agreement between the two of us. So we're just looking, I think, Ryan, am I correct that we're just looking to get that in a court order now?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, tell me what the agreement is.
Okay, so Ryan is going to have custody of Gage, and I am going to have custody of Kevin. The reason why we're doing this, sir, is because obviously with all the COVID stuff going on, the school district that I live in, our middle son, Kevin, is in 5th grade, and they can go all day to school, 5 days a week. But Gage, being in 7th grade, they couldn't. They could only go 2 days to school and then 3 days online. He has really bad ADD, and it was not working for him. So up where his dad lives in Muskegon, Twin Lake, he can actually go to school all day, and he needs that.
And what's the parenting time arrangement going to be?
We have figured out that basically, because we didn't want it, because we live 2 hours away from each other, it would be 1 weekend a month, Gage would come down, and then 1 weekend a month, Kevin would go up there, because we wanted it to be that way the boys see each other every other weekend. That way they can get a little bit more time together since they're getting separated. But our holiday schedule would stay the same as it is in the court order already.
So dad's getting physical custody of Gage, mom's getting physical custody of Kevin.
Yes.
If I provide in the order that parenting time as the parties may agree, is that sufficient?
Is that okay,
Or do
Ryan?
you want?
I would just like it to be something set in stone. I'm big on times, and I prefer it to be something that's said through the court.
He had a stroke 2 years ago, so he struggles if stuff changes.
Here's the challenge. So if we do it based on every other weekend, so in other words, on this weekend, Gage comes to stay with mom, and then 2 weekends later, Kevin goes to stay with dad.
Exactly.
It can't, occasionally we have the problem where we end up with 3 weekends in 1 month.
Right.
And that throws that whole calculation off. I can just provide language that specifically says this is going to be every other weekend, one child or the other will go, and I'll need to spell that out in the language. Do I need to say who's going to do the transportation? I mean, how's that going to work?
We're meeting at the mobile gas station in Lowell, Michigan. You can put that in there. So that way that's set in stone, like Ryan stated. And you could actually start, because this weekend I'm getting engaged tomorrow at 7 p.m. So you can start it off of this weekend that I would get engaged, and then 2 weeks from now, Kevin's supposed to go up there. But obviously the holiday schedule will take precedence over regular parenting time. And like I said, our holiday schedule is going to stay the same as it is in the order right now.
So holidays will stay the same. All right, I know how to write all this out. We'll take care of that for you.
And Ryan.
Let me make sure.
Ryan, did you want to? Oh, sorry.
I just want to make sure I've got good addresses. So, Dad, I've got you on in Twin Lake, Michigan, and Mom, I've got you in Olivet, Michigan.
Yes, sir.
So, what county is Twin Lake in?
Muskegon.
And what county is Olivet in?
Eaton.
Eaton County. Okay, we'll get this spelled out for you folks. And currently, are either one of you paying child support?
No, we do not pay child support, but Mr. Ream is on disability, and the children get disability benefits. And that's one thing we wanted in there too, is that I get Kevin's disability benefit and Ryan gets Gage's disability benefit. Can I address Ryan real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Ryan, did you want the summer vacation to still stay week on, week off? Do you want that in there too?
Yes, with both boys.
Okay. So yes. For during the summer months when they're not in school, we do week on, week off. We did it this summer without a court order or anything. I think we did it the summer before too. Yep. To where the boys are together for the entire summer, but like Ryan will have both the boys for a week and then I'll have them for both for a week. But
and
we
you
only
want that to continue?
Yes.
Sunday to Sunday?
Did we do Friday to Friday, Ryan?
Yeah, Friday to Friday.
Friday to Friday. Okay.
7 p.m.
Okay.
Yes, I was going to say, do you want the 7 p.m. in the order?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll do, go ahead.
And that's, the weekends are Friday to Sunday, again, 7 p.m.?
Yes. Is that what you want, Ryan? Friday at 7 to Sunday at 7?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
All
right, I think I've got everything.
Your Honor, I need to also, so in the previous court order, it was, I had to give her a $20 fuel check every Friday when we met because she had custody of both boys. I'd like to see if she's okay with canceling that out.
Yes.
All right, so each party's responsible for their own transportation.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yes.
And now, Ryan, did you want to do this custody thing indefinite and not just for this school year?
Yes.
Or until we figure, until if something arises couple years down the road or something and.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, set it in stone.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. We'll get that order out to you folks. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, next up, and I guess the last thing I have this morning is Pennell versus Simpson. Ms. Pennell is present, Ms. Simpson is not. This is a motion to issue a personal protection order. I actually heard testimony regarding the relationship and the conflicts between Ms. Pennell and Ms. Simpson. When I heard Ms. Pennell's motion to terminate the PPO that was issued in favor of Ms. Simpson. I denied this on an ex parte basis because it didn't sound to me like it was necessary, but I definitely recall all of that testimony. Clearly, Ms. Simpson was the aggressor in the incident that she claimed she needed a PPO order for. And let me ask you, Ms. Pennell, when Ms. Simpson testified, she said she just wanted to stay away and doesn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Has she persisted in whatever behavior it is that causes you to believe you need a PPO?
Unfortunately, Your Honor, she still does so. The last incident that I did include in this order, sorry, was just recently. Our other house, we had a house fire, and so we're temporarily staying somewhere else. And the house that we've lived in for 23 years, she actually was on that premises sneaking around and trying to break in. And our neighbors who know her, because, you know, we've lived there for years, actually caught her doing so and said, "What are you doing there?" And she said, "Oh, I'm here to pick up things for them." And they were like, "You're not supposed to be here." So she took off. So contrary to her saying she's trying to stay away from me, she's not. She posts on social media, you know.
Well, I will issue a PPO. So your address is listed on the PPO petition as 4687 Hull Road in Leslie. Is that the location of the fire, or is that your current address?
That's our current address, Your Honor. The 211 Butler Street that I included in the PPO is actually the address that she had went and attempted to break in. So that's the reason that I included that address in the PPO, because we are going to do some work there.
I will include that, and I will issue a PPO.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate your help.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good